For this, I did verses 1, 2, and 4. If you want,
Okay.
I can go to
Yeah,
some of the.
7.
I have 6, and I also have 7. So I can go
Okay.
to
Go ahead.
and the hair because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, and he is unclean unto you. And the swine, and we know what the swine is, the pork, and the hoof, of course, is the cattle. Though he divide the hoof, and he be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. Then I'm going to go to verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten, and they are an abomination, the eagle, the ostrich, and the offspring.
Hmm.
Because all these wild things people tend to eat, like birds and, of course, like I said, cattle.
Yeah.
Um, which is the steak, and then you have the swine, which is pork chops and your chitlins and all of that stuff. Ham.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. But as I said, and all of that in Leviticus chapter 11 was set out for the people of Israel. And it makes it clear in the New Testament that those foods and, all of that in the Old Testament does not apply to us today. Okay? It said it does not apply. And Jesus declared that all foods are clean, as in Mark 7:17 through 23. Do you have that one, Betty?
Yeah, I can read that one too.
Okay, that's Mark
And,
chapter 7, 17 through the 23rd verse.
yes. And when he was entered into the house from the people, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he saith unto them, are ye so without understanding also? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever thing from without entereth into the man, it cannot defile him, because it enters not in his heart, but unto the belly, and goeth out into the drought, purging all meats. And he said, that which cometh out of the man, that defileth man. For from within, out of the heart of man, proceedeth evil thoughts. And it just went over adulteries, fornication, murders, thefts,
Okay.
coveted. Yeah. But
So
he was,
basically, he's saying that the food is in the body. And because it's in the body and it comes out the body, it's not coming out of the heart. He's saying those things that come out of the heart when people have hatred, anger, you know, uh, all these different things where they can, bring out of the heart, then those are defiled. And therefore, I guess he claimed that all food was clean. And according to the New Testament, you don't have to worry about that you saw in the Old Testament. Now, I'm not dismissing everything in the Old Testament because there are some things I believe we should take note of. If you don't know your history, you have to know what happened before in order to make that good path to go ahead. And I'm sure if one of my colleagues was here, she would be able to also make a testament that it's some things that she likes in the Old Testament when they talk about that God gave us the plants or the flowers and the fruit which bear seed And those fruit bearing seeds were food for us. You know, what we eat and claim is unclean should only be unclean for us. Okay? We can't impose the way we eat or the foods we eat upon our brothers and sisters. I know one of my colleagues, she always say, don't be a mean vegan. Don't be bashing other people because they not eat vegan. You know, you can't do that. And God's saying that here in the Bible that don't impose on people like that. If your brother wants to eat that kind of meat, or he wants to eat whether the hoof is split or not, then he can eat it or she can eat it, because all food is claimed clean in the New Testament. Okay? It says, especially if it causes them to stumble. Okay? Now, you wouldn't want to go out with somebody and have a meal and they're like vegan, like I am, and then take them to a steakhouse. And then you start eating that steak and tearing it down and, say I just became vegan. And then I might be, causing my mouth to water or want me to start thinking about buying one of them steaks too. Well, that would cause me to stumble. They're talking about, you don't want to do that. So don't go bashing people because of the way they eat. Say it's wrong to bash someone for being a meat eater, as well as wrong to bash a person for being a vegetarian or vegan. Don't destroy the work of God for the sake of food. If what I eat causes you harm or dismay or some ill feelings, then you should not partake in that. And I should not impose any of my eating habits upon you. Okay? You also should not judge each other on how to eat or what to eat. I think we all must understand and determine what is God's food. Okay? What is God's food for our own interpretation, not for somebody else. And I know the way I feel about food, it really kind of shocked me having to, research and study the Old Testament and see all those things. And then not seeing a lot in the New Testament, the way I eat. But this is just my perspective, in my opinion, and I'm just going to share it with y'all. I'm not trying to impose it on anybody or harm y'all, but I feel man has intervened into God's will and changed what many believe is God's food. Like Mildred, Mildred Betty, she wrote a book called God's Diet. And in her diet, in her book, talking about God's diet, she references a lot of parts of the Old Testament. Genesis 9:3. Everything that lives and moves will be food for you, just as I gave you the green plants. I now give you everything. So she focuses on the green plants as God's food. And then in Genesis 1:29, and this is the NIV version, y'all don't know. Then God said, I give you every seed bearing fruit on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. Okay, that's where I come in, and a lot of my other vegan and vegetarian colleagues. Every seed bearing fruit. That's what God gave us over the whole earth, every tree. That's why I try to eat as much plant food as possible. What about Romans 14? If somebody else, maybe one of y'all, Selena, one of y'all have y'all Bible, you can pull up Romans 14, 1 and 3.
Okay, give me a second.
Okay, go ahead.
You said Roman,
14th chapter,
uh-huh.
first at the first through the third verse.
Okay. This is the King James Version. Him that is weak in the faith receive ye, but not to doubtful disputations. For one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. Let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth, for God hath received him.
There you go. Don't judge him, for God has received him. So, yeah, I know back in not too long ago, I had to check myself, and some of my colleagues was checking me because I was almost on that, tilt to impose what I eat, how I eat, and stuff on other people. But it's good, that I'm here now and I understand that's wrong, you know. That's my interpretation. But this is also my interpretation. Uh, there's a chemical company called Monsanto. I'm not sure if y'all ever heard of that company, but Monsanto is a company that has made a seed, and from that seed came GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Okay? Uh, they were born to have a product or food that bugs can attack. This is why they made their own seed or these GMOs. They didn't want bugs to be able to attack this food. And GMOs, I feel, are not God's food because I detest them and I will not eat genetically modified foods. I feel that is man's intervening, on God's creations. And they have a company that he's formed now, or a huge corporation of four big ones, four big players in there. The initials is BASF, which stands for Bayer, Monsanto, Kim China, Syngenta, and Corteva Agriscience. Okay, I guess they got some company in China. The Kim China sounds like a chemical company. And then Bayer, I'm sure y'all know that's probably the people that make Bayer aspirin and all the other aspirins. And Corteva Agriscience. Okay, so this stuff is in a lab. This is man going in a lab making a seed and food. These are the four big corporations that currently own the rights to over 2/3 of the world's seed and pesticide sales. 2/3 of the world seed and pesticide sales. Okay? Bayer, Monsanto, Kim China, Syngenta, and Corteva Agriscience. Monsanto products have been found to be toxic to the environment and human health. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with the product called Roundup. Yeah, I know I am. Yeah, Roundup is a weed killer or grass killer that has been found to be have cancer causing agents. It's been many lawsuits in the past. This was maybe like 6, 7 years ago, I think, maybe a little further back. Many class action lawsuits on Roundup, and it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I just feel no GMOs for me is not God's food. That's something I will not touch. However, since the 1930s, it has been possible for companies to patent seeds that they have developed, meaning that they own the rights to the seeds and can charge others for using them. Okay? Now, many plants used for food, fuels, and animal fodder have been grown from seeds that have been carefully bred to ensure that they are strong and will yield a good crop. Many of them have been genetically modified in some way to improve their changes of being disease free or to increase their resistance to pesticides. Genetically modified organisms, GMO, or they formulate hybrid seeds. Are y'all familiar with hybrid foods? Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But this kind of hit me. I'm like, I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not trying to impose. But like I said, we have to understand and determine what God's food is for our own interpretation. And for mine, trust. GMO is not God's food for me. I'm sorry, it's not. Okay, where was I? However, since the 1930s, it has been possible for companies to patent these. Did I already read this? Yeah. Okay, so I mean, they patent a seed. They have a patented seed that they make or sell to U.S. farmers. You know what I'm saying? And they want U.S. farmers to use their seed. And if you don't know, it's very hard to tell what is real food. I'm sure when y'all been in the grocery store, you see a lot of food that don't have seeds. Seedless grapes. I haven't seen, it's only one grape I found with seeds. That was the dark purple or red one. Any other grapes have seeds. The green grapes, them things haven't had seeds for over 10, 15 years. I haven't seen seeds in a lot of this food. Watermelons don't have seeds. People be on my social media trying to find who know where's some watermelon with seeds, because they know that stuff is GMO and they don't want to mess with it. So I don't know. I'm a member of this organization. It's a nonprofit called the National Health Federation, NHF, right here. And the NHF is a very powerful organization. They're a nonprofit. They're very powerful because they lobby Congress. And they go and talk to these senators and congressmen and tell them what we want as far as real food, what we want as far as supplements, what we want as far as vitamins, minerals, herbal supplements, okay? Because, I mean, food is turning into something that is not going to be good for the human body. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm a member of NHF, and if y'all can, I think I'll put their link in the chat if y'all want. Y'all can check them out. They do a lot of research and things like that, and they send people to Congress to fight. As a matter of fact, I don't know if y'all know about the Dietary Health Supplement and Education Act. It came into play when Bill Clinton was president. Okay, the National Health Federation had a lot to do with getting that bill passed, because they be in touch with senators and go and talking to them and letting them know, okay, how they feel about what's going on in this industry. You know, they don't regulate the garden supplies as hard. As a matter of fact, they don't regulate garden supplies and materials at all, hardly. You know, some of those companies make claims that are false. They don't even exist. You know, they make claims on some of that garden stuff that don't even work, or it's just not a good idea. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I go to a company called Gardens Alive because I want to make sure that I'm getting, you know, the real garden supplies and stuff that came from the earth and not out of a lab. And Gardens Alive have a lot of organic uh, garden materials. You know, most of their stuff is green, or all of it just about is green. It's safe for the environment. It's safe for you. You know, unlike Roundup, that stuff is, you know, their stuff is not going to cause cancer. You know, you have to be careful of a lot of those toxic materials in the garden places and buying them out of Home Depot, Lowe's, and those places. Those things will really cause harm to your body. And God forbid if you're not wearing gloves. I mean, like I was, you know, some years back, I used to just go out there in the dirt and start digging up with a spatula or whatever, and without any gloves on. And after a while, I'm learning, okay, it's parasites that can get in you that's in the dirt. Okay, parasites are in the air, in the water, and you know they can get in us a lot of ways. But I'm digging in this dirt, and I'm like, oh wow, I think I better start using gloves. But all of those chemicals that they sell in the garden section, you definitely better be wearing gloves for that stuff. You don't want that stuff to get on your skin. It can cause some harm. So the National Health Federation, I've been with them since the 90s. They used to be, they used to have a health show. And I mean, I learned so much through them. They had a health show way back in the 90s. And I was sitting in there, like taking tickets at the door. And a dentist was up there. He was a holistic dentist. And I was learning about root canals and how root canals is not the best way to go holistically, because they say they fail. They're going to fail like real quick, you know, and probably most people that had a root canal, it failed because it's a problem, you know, that the dentists have in being able to see behind that canal bacteria and stuff that's growing. I mean, it's just amazing all the different things that I've, you know, learned during this time about holistic health. So, let me put this in the chat if any of y'all want. See if I can find my. If not, I'll email it because I don't know. I might not be able to do it right now. I'll email y'all the link to the National Health Federation and to Gardens Alive that have all these different organic and green gardening products that are safe. Safe for you, safe for your family, safe for your pets. Now, hybrids. Let's talk about hybrids. Because what a hybrid is basically crossbreeding. They take two plants, okay, cross them plants together, you know, not literally like I'm doing, but in the lab, and genetically they come up with a third item, like carrot. I mean, carrot's been around so long, I know a lot of people probably think that's a natural vegetable. No, it's not. That carrot is a hybrid. It came from two other plants being bred together. And they made the carrot, just like they made kale, just like they made cabbage. And I mean, I like cabbage. As a matter of fact, I just made one of my cabbage chop suey dishes, you know, because I just like cabbage. You know, some of those others I've eaten in the past too, but I do understand these are hybrids. It's probably no testing out there to let you know 20 years from now whether these hybrids are going to affect you, because I deem that these hybrids are not God's food, not for my body. So there's the list, you know, and it's not just stopping there, y'all. It's a lot more hybrid foods out there. I mean, man is in the lab doing all of this crossbreeding, making these genetically modified foods. They're even trying to pass a law. I don't know if they passed it yet. They were trying to get GMOs labeled organic. I mean, go figure. Are you kidding me? It's nothing natural about it. They don't use natural stuff. It's made in a lab. But they're fighting to try to get it labeled, some GMOs, as organic. And I mean, how are we going to know what's the difference in the real organics and this GMO organic? Because it's like they just want to slap the organic label on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's not good. You know, all of my vegan, vegetarian friends are up in arms about that. So that's something that the National Health Federation would be fighting for, you know, to keep Congress from passing that bill to say that these GMOs can be labeled organic. All right, anybody have any questions about now? Because we coming to the end. All right, we talked about philosophy. All right, Selena, we're going to get to you right after I do this wrap up.
Okay.
We talked about philosophy, right? The philosophy of food. What's your philosophy? Do you eat to live or do you just live to eat? These are learned behaviors. Learned behaviors a lot from when we were growing up and throughout our life. The religious customs. These are things we've been following, you know, as long as we've been with that religion. And, you know, we follow those customs. The Jewish people still follow those customs, even though the New Testament said all food is clean. You're not going to be able to tell a Jewish person that. They're going to say, no, I need kosher meat. If it ain't kosher, I can't eat it. And GMOs, you know, I feel my interpretation of GMOs is not God's food. This is not God's food. And I'm always trying to find out, okay, when I buy stuff in the grocery store, is this GMO? And they have certifications on food that will say verified organic or verified non-GMO. It'll be a little symbol on the food somewhere that will say that non-verified GMO or non-GMO verified, or verified organic. And then the hybrids are not really labeled because, you know, you see carrots everywhere. There's no label on them. People don't know that they are hybrids, okay? Just like the beets, just like the potatoes, and all the rest of them that was on the list. So what do you have, Selena?
I was only going to ask, when you send us the information about the NHF, would you
Yes.
send us that about the hybrids?
What, the list?
Yes.
Okay, like I say, this list is not all inclusive though. It's a lot of hybrids out there. But yeah, I can print that off and send you that list. Let me
Okay.
write that
Thank
down.
you.
Send a list of hybrids. Okay, anybody else? Well, let me go around the room because I'd like to hear y'all take on these GMOs, on these hybrids, as far as God's food. Do you want to take the lead on that, Carolyn?
Well, I know the GMOs are not, and I avoid them as much as I can, as long, once I know it's a GMO. Hybrids, I, I've heard of foods being crossed, but the ones that you have listed, I did not know they were considered hybrid. But I don't necessarily see anything wrong with them. I believe that God, how should I say it? What he made and he gave man knowledge to do doesn't always mean that it's wrong. That
Okay.
God is not, to me, he's not that stiff that unbendable. Just like, in medicine and everything, he gives people wisdom to advance things in medicine. I believe he does the same thing in other areas also. But that's not saying everything that's hybrid I would, consider eating. But, most hybrids, at least the list that I saw that you had, I have never heard of anybody having any adverse effects with them. So, I'm not as cautious about that, but GMOs, I am very cautious about it. And you can tell when something is GMO, when you taste it.
Hmm.
Even if it looks the same, it does not taste the same.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, I enjoy the summer coming so I can plant my little garden and get the tomatoes or peppers or whatever that I like. And
Yeah.
there's a totally different taste to them.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The natural foods, the organic especially, is very high nutrient. When you grow stuff organically, it have more nutrients because the soil here in the US now and the way farmers farm, this conventional and new way, the microorganisms is not microbacteria and organisms is not in the soil. It's not in the
Right,
soil because they don't rotate it no more. I think that's in the
right.
Bible too, isn't it?
Yeah.
To rotate every, what is it? I forget, but it's to rotate the crop and
Yeah,
don't.
and to let the land rest every
There
7 years.
you go. Don't use it
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again like we do here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what about you, Betty? You have anything to share with us?
Well, one of the things, of course, like I said, the hybrid foods I eat, you know, those, but the GMOs I definitely avoid those because I'm always looking at labels. And one thing I'm conscious about, and with certain foods, and I know that's from, the way being with you and around you, certain things that you eat, and I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way in terms of more vegetarian because I know it's better for my body and I feel better when I eat a certain way.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying now everywhere is that plant-based diet is much better. Like that Mediterranean diet is much better for your body than
Yeah.
Yeah,
eating a lot of meat.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be probably going in depth on a lot of these different areas as far as food and how to eat them, how to prepare them. I have a bunch of recipes on vegetarian dishes and vegan dishes, raw vegan even. But Betty can tell y'all a lot of them I don't eat no more. I used to make a pad thai because I actually went over to Thailand and went to a cooking school and learned how to make Thai food. And I'm telling
Mm.
you, was it good or not, Betty?
Yeah, that's one of his specialties. I request that,
Oh,
at different
really?
times. Yeah, he's good with pad thai. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, she requested every time. I don't eat that no more. And I'm like, if I make it,
Well,
you
why
don't
don't
even
you
want
eat
to
it
eat it.
anymore?
Because I'm 80% raw vegan.
Oh, and that
Yeah.
that that Thai food isn't?
No, that's not raw vegan. Raw vegan is basically like eating raw vegetables and raw fruit.
Oh, oh,
Uncooked veggies and uncooked fruit. Yeah, I
I
chop
see.
them up like I love cucumber. I chop up some cucumber
Yeah.
or slice it
Yeah.
up and some zucchini and
Yeah.
slice it up. And I get some lettuce and I put it between the lettuce. Man, and then I got a sauce I make. It's a special sauce I make from a yellow bell pepper. And I
Hmm.
put that on it. That's raw food. That's my meal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
every now and again, because I said 80% raw vegan, the rest of that is pescatarian. So the only thing I eat in pescatarian is tuna, okay, canned tuna, canned sardines, and every now and then when I go out, maybe some fish, but mostly I'll either do trout or flounder because they are
Uh-huh.
like real thin fish and they not filling. Stuff like that, if I eat it like that pad thai, it would be too filling for me. It would be too heavy in my system. When I
Mhm.
eat stuff, and after I've went to a more nutrient dense food, the nutrient dense foods are not heavy in your stomach. They're not filling like that. But you get the nutrients and you don't be hungry. And when I go back sometime and eat like that, because I got that cabbage, I got a big thing of chop suey I made of cabbage. I wish you was here, Betty, but I'm gonna have to eat it all myself. I just wanted to make something this week so I won't have to be going in the kitchen a lot. And I just take a little of that and heat it up. But that stuff is kind of heavy for me too. You know what I'm saying? When we eat that good food, they say, and we have those big meals, and then all you can do is sleep.
Yeah.
That's because it's tiring on the digestive system. The digestive system is not able to digest that food as well. And you're tired because your digestive system is going into overload trying to produce enzymes and all of that to digest that heavy stuff that you just fed it. And the results of it is you feeling tired, you laying down. So the less you work your digestive system and the easier you make it for it, the more energy you will have and the less tired you will feel. Trust that. I've been doing it for I'm 20 years vegetarian. I'm probably a lot of that is maybe 5 or 6 pescatarian, and then this raw vegan just came about really. So I think maybe a little under a year on raw vegan. But each time I transition, it's like I'm feeling a lot lighter. I'm getting more nutrients from my food. Yeah, we're going to have more classes in the future that's going to be going more in depth about holistic living, green living. I got information on how to be green and get rid of all the toxic cleaners in your house. You know what I'm saying? And use things that's real simple, safe for you, safe for your pet, safe for your kids, whatever. And also, I'm going to be doing one where I'm going to do an assessment when we get more people, hopefully, in there, and do an assessment on you and see what's going on in your body. And then we're going to talk about that, me and you, one on one, to see what would be good things and a good way for you to go to deal with whatever that assessment show that your body needs. Because it's like a body systems assessment. It measures the systems in your body, like circulatory, respiratory, skeletal system, all those different systems, hepatic, you name it. Okay? So all of that's coming in the future. I'm glad that y'all showed up tonight, and I appreciate y'all. And I hope that God will cover y'all in His grace and have His travel angels wherever you go about this planet.
Premiumbeat.com